right now, so we're doing it with a screen share using Microsoft Teams. Another good reason why it's a good idea to record this lesson and to have a reference of it. So just want to make sure everybody can see my screen okay, and we're all on point with the stuff, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we're doing the advanced fills lesson today. I quickly recapped the assignment that's due today, which is the UI kit, from basic wireframe grayscale hand-drawn illustrations to something more, solid with the way these things can work out in a real scenario when you do build a website or a mobile app of any kind. So we're going to move on right now with advanced fills. So the exercise I asked everyone to download was with Blackboard under Class 6 Advanced Fills. It's called Sun Gradient. This lesson packs a really, really nice combination of all the things you want to learn. And I'm going to add some more stuff as we go along. So it's a really, really good one to kind of solidify your knowledge about Illustrator. So let's go ahead and start with that right now. So double click on that file. It should open Illustrator or prompt the application to open right away. And you'll see like a half-started exercise with this. I'm going to make my screen a little bigger. I think the whole purpose to have a started file for some of the people they got stuck in the process, so I have to re-upload the file again. You can all see the one on the right. It's kind of started, but it's not really completed. So let's see exactly what happened there and how do we get to that point. The one on the left is the objective, is the one we want to actually recreate. So you can grab any image off the, maybe it's off the internet or off your files, or you hand draw yourself and you can regenerate it in Illustrator. Now this one on the left is even, let's say, could be an image or a finished version. I want you to open the layers file on the right. If you go to Window, Layers, and you can see how, I think I made these a little bigger. So you can see the layers has two different stacks, or layers, I should say. So the bottom one is the template layer. The top one is the drawing layer. So please be aware of what layer you're in. Technically, we should be in the drawing layer as we proceed with the illustration. The template layer is just something we scanned. You can take a picture, import it into Illustrator, make it a template. We've done this before, remember, with other exercises. Just to quickly walk you through it, you double click and just make sure the template option is turned on. That's it. So you can go on the internet, grab any illustration or any drawing, and use that as your main target for recreating the digital drawing, right? So it could be anything that you want, basically. So this was a pretty, I guess, in the middle. It covers all the fills that you want to learn, like a cartoony kind of texture with, if you want to do something more realistic, the same approach works, okay? It's just the face won't look like a sun smiling at you like a cartoon. It'll be more like a real life-like character, okay? And you can achieve the same results. You understand? So this works on anything you want to recreate. Okay, so now that it's set up for us, we're going to go to the drawing layer. Just click on the drawing layer. That's right. Like if I double click on this thing, I can make this magenta, right? Just for argument's sakes. Just because I might have different, I like colors actually. When I work on just to show you how important colors are, I was talking with a colleague the other day. They were on a big production plant. It's very complicated with tanks, having different surface disinfectants and stuff. So I'm like, how do you guys keep track of all this? Well, we have colors. Green means that, blue means that, purple means that, red means that, and yellow means this. So with colors, you can't go wrong. You can see everything based on the labeling system. And if you see my folders here, look at my folders, like I'll open my AdStash folder, look at all my colors. All my folders have different colors. I know exactly what each color, I don't have to think. I just know the color represents what I'm looking for. So a lot of these colors work in that sense. Same as layers and all these things. Good question though. Yeah. Okay, so back to the sun here. We do have, I think this is locked by on purpose, this yellow gradient here that I have. Also, I want to show you, I know last week we went over saving custom colors for the logos and for the UI kit. If you go to Window and open up the swatches, right? The swatches, this is pre-made for you. So as you roll over the mouse, you can see this folder here. It looks like a folder with it's a set. The folder represents a set of those colors. So the face has two colors, has this orange and this yellow color. The other one is called Starburst. That's the background, like the starburst rays that we're gonna do a step and repeat on. Those are the colors for that. The one, I'm going from the bottom up. So the other one's called brown. It's for the accents and the highlights. Then the other one is called eyes. And you can see the blue, the light blue, the dark blue, the gray and the light gray. Then you have like the tongue, and you have the teeth, and you have the accents, more accents. So all these combination of different, you don't have to go that far with organization, but you can show you how the level of detail you can take it to. More like the granular approach. You can really break it up into different things. So this is a good way to understand how colors are important, because based on those colors, it's going to help us recreate this drawing. So maybe you want to set up your colors first. And just to recap, how do you set up a color? You can go pick up any color from I'm moving my mouse on the left-hand side here. If you just double click, let's say I pick this green, this very kind of like bright green color, and I click OK. Notice that bright green color is on my foreground color right now. So if I drag that color, literally drag the color, drag it all the way to the swatch palette, right where, let's say I wanted to go on the third row where the face is, I just added a green color, you see? Just simply dragging and dropping these colors, you add them to the library, right? So this is how easy it is to get colors. The difference is also, these are, I think, converted into process colors. Right? And the only difference is if I double click, and this is so minuscule, please don't worry about it. It's set to like a global attribute, so you can basically access it through all the other files. So again, just don't worry about that, just make sure the colors are there. All right, so one thing is about this one, I want you to recreate this right from scratch. So notice how I can't click on the yellow gradients? That's because it's locked. I locked it on purpose, because when you work on a big surface, it's easy to get distracted and select the wrong thing sometimes. So what you want to do is you want to go to Object, and you want to go Unlock All. Yes. Command, I think it's Command 2 or Option 2. Let me just, let me do Unlock, then I'll lock it again. I think it's Command 2 to lock. It used to be Command L, but for whatever reason, they take these shortcuts out, these very fundamental shortcuts. So I used Command L for like 20 years, and then they switch it up on me. Then they make it Command 2 for whatever reason. It's the dumbest thing ever, right? But it's whatever. I'm not going to argue with the developers, right? It's like me arguing with the IT people why they're not here. It's been 50 minutes. My projector's still not working. But back in the day, we used to handle things differently. We go and yell at everybody, but I can't do that anymore. Right? All right. So unlock all. And now you have the gradient selected, right? But to lock it again, just like we said, you can go to Object, Lock, Selection. So it is Command or Control 2 on a PC. So the reason why you want to lock it and unlock it is because it's easier to work and select things like this. I can just select the mouse and select a whole range of items here, right? So again, Object, Unlock All. And if you click on this gradient, this sun gradient face that we did, that's called a face, right? You can see on the left that has a gradient fill. And if you go to the gradient tool, if you press G for gradient, you can basically reconstruct the gradient. See, I'm just gonna make it from here to there, from here to there. just recreate it, right? So I want you to do that a bit so you can try out different gradients fills. Of course, once you're using the gradients, you have the gradient palettes. I think it's hiding on me here somewhere. There it is. The gradient palettes right here. It's not necessary that you use the gradient palette, but just so you can control from a linear to a radial gradient. That's important. This one is specifically set to a radial gradient. And again, I'm just dragging it from the eyeball to the other corners of the sun. So just get comfortable doing that because this lesson will focus entirely on gradients and advanced fills. So it's important that you control gradients. Then I'll show you some other advanced fill methods as we go along. So click on the sun background now and press Control 2 or Command 2 to lock it. Because right now it's locked in position, you can't move it. If you zoom in closely, you can see the eyeballs. By the way, I forgot to mention the most important thing. Remember this one? Command Y or Control Y. So you can see right through it, right? So Command Y is basically how you can do this whole thing, or how this whole thing was created from that. I'm just moving it with the direction keys. Up, 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 down, 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 right? Left, right. See, by pressing Command Y, you can see right through. You can see the original illustration. And the reason why this is because it's set to a template. If it's not a template, you can't see it. See, watch, this is important because a lot of people, they miss this step. If I double click on the don't do this, just watch me. If I turn off the template, okay, if I just press OK, right? See, look, I can't see through it. Do you see that? Oh, I can't see anything now because I didn't designate that layer to become a template layer. So that's why when you make a template, some people just name it templates, but they don't make it a template. They just name it template. Naming it's not going to do anything. You can name it whatever you want. That's not going to do anything. But if you double click and you convert it to a template from here, then it becomes an actual template. So please remember that, okay? All right, let's keep going forward now. So you're going to do a lot of this. Get used to it. Control Y, Control Y, Control Y, Control Y. Command Y on a Mac, Control Y on a PC. Because the reason is you can see what's the next objective. Now this eyeball is another set of, if I right click and ungroup it, just to show you how I made this eyeball, it's a white circle with a gradient in the back, okay? Has another gradient. Look, they're all overlapping in a way so they all look kind of nice and positioned like that, right? It's just a bunch of circles with different fills. And that made it look like the actual eye of the sun, right? That's all that is. I'm going to press Command Z, just to put it back in perspective there. To make the other eye, basically, if you want to press Control Y, to make the other eye, you hold Option or Alt, drag this to the other side, and just simply resize it and scale it according to, right? So if I press Command Y now, there's the other eye, right? And if you want to practice the eye, I mean, you can recreate the circles and redo it from scratch. That's up to you. But I'm just taking you through the steps of how this was generated and created. So it's really easy to kind of do that. Just to show you though, let's just say I'm doing this from scratch. I want to show you, right? So you can just watch me do this or do it with me. So I'm going to delete this eye, okay? I'm going to delete it, pretending I never made that one to begin with. So I'm going to make one right from scratch right now. So I'm going to press Command Y. I'm going to use the elliptical marquee tool, or this, I should say this object tool. I'm going to make an elliptical selection like this. Command Y again. Okay? So there's the white base, right? But notice the base wasn't even white, it was the gradient accent base. So if I use the eyedropper tool, I'm gonna eyedrop the gradient from the head. So it looks like that. And I'm just gonna use the gradient tool and just simply maybe swipe it this way to create some kind of a contrast. Okay. Next, I'll press Ctrl Y again and recreate another elliptical shape. And this time will be within the other eye. Like this, like that, and like that. Command Y. So this second one that I just made, that's going to be white base color. So I'm going to click up here and just create, look at this, see, just make the white color there. So now I made one circle on top of the other. Here's the thing. The rule number one, when you draw in a digital program, always start from the back, work your way to the front. Back in the old days when we didn't have layers and Photoshop was all selections, you had to plan your concept. You had to start from the back and put stuff on the top. Like a real, have you guys done traditional design? Like a painting, right? Like a canvas painting, you start from the background, the base color, and then you put the details on top. So it's a layer, 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 layer on the top. That's the way you gotta, because you can't do it the other way. You can't go from the front to the back. It doesn't work like that. I mean, really you can, but it's very, very difficult. So why would you? Sorry? How many times though? Every time you're gonna make something, send to back. Make something, send to back. Make something, send to back. And then, oh, you gotta bring to the front, send to back, bring to front, send to back. You do it all day. You spend half your day bringing this to the back, sending things to the front, right? That's what the problem is. You can do it, it's just it's a lot of work, extra work. So if you think the other way, from the back to the front, it's so much easier. That's why we approach it the same way. That's why this is a good exercise to grasp the concept of working in such a manner. Okay, so we're gonna go just Control Y, move this back in position. Well, both of them. That's why I locked the other layer, so I can see here, this one is right, it's supposed to be right there, Command Y. Okay, Command Y again, perfect. So now we're gonna draw the other circles. So another elliptical tool. Hold Shift, always hold Shift to keep it perfect, right? If it's not perfect, I didn't hold Shift until now. Now these are perfect circles. The other ones were elliptical shapes. I didn't hold Shift, I just made an elliptical shape, right? This one has a blue gradient. So what I'm gonna do now, okay? What I'm gonna do now is go to the color swatches here. I'm gonna pick a gradient fill. See the gradient fill from the middle, right? And I'm gonna pick on this color, double click, okay? And I'm gonna make that one this light blue color. I'm gonna double click on the orange and pick the dark blue color, you see? You can also pick any color from the color gradient if you're doing freestyle art. But if you're doing something more planned like this, everything's given to you, you just simply use the colors that are there, right? Now watch what I'll do with the gradient tool. I'm just gonna swipe it from here, recreate a new gradient, maybe out. You can even move the gradients like in and stuff like that if you want. Yeah. Which one? Want to remove the gradient completely? Let's say I'll remove it on this one right here, right? You want to remove it to like a solid color, or you want to remove it to like nothing basically? Solid color. So Jerome just asked me a very good question. How do you remove a gradient and replace it with a solid color? So watch this. You go up here to the swatch. There's several ways of doing it. Okay, the quickest way, watch this. One hand, D for default. That'll just reset it to black and white. But if you go up here and you can pick any color from the top, you can do it this way as well. Just pick on, let's say, the pink. Because that overrides the gradient setting and gives it a solid color setting. So by simply just selecting a color from here or a gradient from there. So that's why this is very important, this area here on the left. Because you have the far left box is color. Next one is gradient. Next one is none. Okay. So moving along further, Command Y or Control Y again. I'm going to now create this this other circle. It's a black, the pupil on the eye. So I'm going to make that black circle using the elliptical tool. I'm just going to make a nice circle like that. And this one I'll just press D for default. Just like change it to a normal shape. Just press D. Just make, watch this. I'll just swap the, see swap, look, swap the stroke and the fill look like a white stroke, black fill, right? And I'll just remove the white stroke by simply going up here and going to no stroke on the very top left corner there. So I just have like a black pupil, right? Now I see the blue gradients losing a bit of contrast compared to the other one. So let me just move it out of the way to show you how to intensify the blue a little more. So I'm going to go back to the gradient tool. Watch this. I'm just going to move this slightly this way, or just move the threshold of the blend more outwards. You see, I'm controlling it with the gradient annotator. These words they make up for these things, I tell you. The gradient annotator is how you edit the gradient. This little, it's called the annotator. So what you do then is you put this right back, and there's how the eye looks. And you can Command Y back and forth and recreate almost anything. It's easier to have a clear illustration. If you have a sketch illustration, that works too, right? But whatever you can project through your own way of interpreting and making it happen. So basically, this is what that looks like. Lastly, we got these two little blue circles just to create the highlights for the eye features. I'm going to use the elliptical tool again and simply draw a circle here, right? And I'm going to press D for default, and I'll just take out the black outline, just give it a white fill, like that. Okay, and simply just do the same thing. This is easy now. Option drag, make a copy of the circle. Press Command Y again. Just make it a little smaller. You can zoom in if you have to, using the Command plus, Command minus shortcuts, and press Command Y again. And there it is. So I just wanted to show you how to recreate that from scratch, so you know how to do all this stuff. And the eye was the most trickiest part of this whole thing, because it has a lot of layers, a lot of objects, and you can see the level of detail. Once you add the level of detail, it starts to look more realistic, right? That's all about the more detail you add to anything, the better it looks. Not always, but in this case. So then I select all these. I don't want this to break up again. So I just basically do this. I make a selection and I press Command or Control G. I'm going to group it. So basically this becomes one object like that one. And I'm ready to go to the next part. Okay, so you can see how this illustration is coming to life now, according to the one on the left. That's exactly what our goal is, to aim to make it exactly like that. We're going to keep switching between Command Y back and forth. Okay. We're going to move on to on top of the eye now, to the eyebrow portion. We're going to recreate the shape here using the pen tool. Hope you guys had a chance to practice the pen tool after we did all those lessons before. If you haven't, here's your chance again. P for pen. Pen tool is the most ultimate drawing tool, so you should always consider it when drawing any type of advanced illustrations. So I'm basically going to start from maybe even here, right? I'm just going to click and drag the mouse, click and drag the mouse, click and drag the mouse, click and drag the mouse. Nice and gentle. Just always keep dragging it into the direction that you're headed towards. Click and drag the mouse, click and drag the mouse. Over here, click and drag the mouse, and here I'm just going to close it. So all I did was click and drag very subtly. I was pretty generous with the amount of points I gave it, right? So I made, if it's not perfect, you can use the light arrow tool, the one on the top left corner. You can basically fix these anchor points and stuff, right? Because these are all anchor points. You can perfect any type of drawing, any type of illustration. This is the #1 tool that you want to master if you really want to get good at this stuff. All right.
Can you also use the smooth tool to make it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a smooth tool you can use it. I hardly use the smooth tool, but if necessary, that's what it's for actually. Where's the smooth tool now? They moved it again. Yeah, the shaper. There's the smooth tool. So the smooth tool is, first of all, I'm not a fan of the pencil. The pencil is like very freestyle. If you have like a stylus, you know those things like a pen and you can draw on it, maybe then I'll consider using that tool. But for the pen tool, it's a mouse kind of interaction. But within that tool setting, there's something called the smooth tool. What this does is basically smoothens out. Like if this was really, really rough, okay, this will just smoothen it out basically, right? You can just hover over the area and smoothens it out, right? Doesn't always work with tracing, but it does smoothen the lines. Let me just reiterate that one more time. Let's just do this. I'll use the pencil tool. You know, actually, here, watch this. Let me approach the other eyebrow, and I'm going to use the pencil tool. You ready? Here we go. Half a cup of coffee so far. Okay. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to draw this freehand. I'm tracing it. Tracing it. Good thing I have a mouse, right? Of course, there we go. Right? I just drew that with the pencil, right? Right? Here's the problem. It's not too smooth. Has a few rough, didn't do so bad of a job actually. Just this part looks a little roughed up. Right? So we're going to use the smooth tool right now and fix it. Just by going to, well, got to select the object first. See, you can just kind of do this to smoothen it out. And it's not fixing this part. But anyways, it'll smoothen out the rough looking shapes, right? So if you have here, let me do a really bad one. Watch this one. Let's say do one of these, right? And then I use the smooth tool, okay? And I do this and just kind of trace it. It'll smoothen it out, right? Eventually. I still find it faster if you do a good job to begin with, right? It's one of those things. Some of these tools are really redundant. They're not really that necessary. But if they work, that's fine. If they don't work, just use the traditional methods. Okay, so back again. I'm not going to do the other eyebrow. Why? When you can do one, copy it, flip it, readjust it, and put it in the other place. So you can always do a duplicate and a mirror flip effect. So that's what that's going to be. So for this one, we're going to put a gradient. So I'm going to use the gradient fill. Oh, Command Y. So it's blue because that's the last setting that I had was the eyeball, the blue eye, the iris there. So we're going to go now use the gradient tool. Okay. We're going to use the gradient tool itself. We're going to reconduct the gradient this way, maybe that way. What type of gradient will it be? A radial or a linear? We're going to stick with linear gradient. It looks like a linear gradient, right? What colors are we going to have? Well, maybe this one's going to be, let me just look at that's why I have the original here. Oh, you have like the light brown and the dark brown. Okay, so look at this. There's a brown set. So if I double click on this light color, I'm going to go to the light brown, and the dark blue will become the dark brown. Perfect, right? And I can then re-swipe the gradient tool whichever way I see fit. Right? Like that. Right? Okay. Well, the one behind it though, so I'm just going to copy and paste this, or you can option drag. So you make a duplicate. right? The option drag, this second one, I'm just gonna reposition the gradient the other way, so it's like the opposite. And bring that one to the front, this one to the back. So right, the one in the back, I'll bring it to the front, right? So I'm gonna select that one very strategically, right click, arrange, bring to front, and that's exactly what that's gonna look like. I don't know if it's gonna look exactly like that one. Oh, that one's just, this one, the one in the back doesn't have a gradient, it's a solid color, right? So I'm just gonna go back and readjust that very quickly. Just kind of select it and just go to a solid color. Just simply go to the solid color setting, right? And then back to the one in the front again. I'm just gonna re-swipe it a little bit more so it has a little more gradient on it. Right? I think that's good enough, right? Now, if you want to select both of these, group them, Command G or right click group, and then option drag, right? And how do we flip it? You can get very technical if you want. You can go to object, transform, reflect. You can reflect and just simply press OK and move it to the other side, right? And just reshape it. How do you reshape it? Just by dragging the corner. Can't go wrong with the corner. It's very, very easy to control that way, right? Let me show you another way to do it. Watch this. Watch this, delete, right? Watch what I'll do. Option drag. You ready for this one? Flip it this way. Huh? Now, because we're not doing something technical, it's a sun, it's an illustration. You can do little skews and flips, and then you can go and do this and put it exactly there and resize it. It'll still work, right? Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you, right? If there's something works, I'll show you. I'm not gonna say, oh, can't do that. Well, why not if it works, right? It's an eyebrow. It's not a rocket ship, it's an eyebrow. Eyebrows are not perfect. So you can make it look kind of imperfect, and it's kind of more natural that way. Okay. Let's quickly save this so we save our progress in case our computers crash or something. All right, so we have this saved, good to go. And now we move on to the other features. I guess the nose is pretty simple. We're gonna go and just do another circle here with the elliptical shape. Gonna hold shift and draw a perfect circle. What I'll do for this one is very simple. I'll use the eyedropper and I'll eyedrop the sun in the back, the face. So it'll give me this look right away. I'll just sample that gradient and then I'll do a slight adjustment that's necessary. Basically, I'll go to the gradient tool and I'll reposition the gradient to look like that. See? Whoops. I'm just gonna press Command Z quickly. Right? Be careful how do you move this. You got to grab the stick with the colors on. You can like extend it, okay? You can rotate it. You can also repivot it, reposition it, or just re-swipe it. I always like to swipe it from a blank, like just go somewhere else. Sometimes if you get like it gets really finicky, just move away from it and just make another one.
So for colors, we have the specific numbers, right? Hashtag and the numbers for every color, solid colors. For gradient, we have numbers. So we can just place those numbers.
Yeah, so here I have like a yellow, you have like a darker yellow and have an orange, right? To add another color, watch this. You can click anywhere to add the color. Oh, sorry, you got to go to the right side. See? A color, color, color. On the right side of the bar, you can add, I can make this color any color I want right now. Just to show you, because I want you to have full control, okay? Here, I'll make this green. I'll make this other color brown, okay? So now, how do you get rid of the colors, right? So you gotta go in there, right? Watch this. You drag this color, drag it out, drag it away, drag it away, drag it away. So to add a color, you click right there to add a color. To take the color away, you drag it away. It's so finicky, guys. That's why I wanted to show you, okay? There's no other formula. Like there's no right click, and you got to really go drag, like, you know, drag, click. Click where? Click right there, otherwise it won't work. So that's why practice makes perfect when you do this stuff, right? Now I know I have all this gray hair on my head, right? All right. So you can see there's, that's how you can perfect the gradient, and you can see how it's nicely kind of working in that sense there. We'll do the accents after, like the shadows and stuff. Let's just get to the mouth portion. Another object you want to recreate is the mouth. This is a tracing method. So you're going to use the pen tool for this. You can start at the corner because that's very advisable. So you're going to go click here, click over here. So click from one edge to the other. Now watch, I'm going to go halfway through the mouth. Click, drag, and hold the mouse to get the perfect curve. Like that. And I'll simply just close it where it started. Look, it's almost perfect, actually. So click, click, click and drag, and click. See, now this looks like a piece of cake compared to the letter S that we practiced on, right? So when you practice hard things to trace, these things are nothing compared to the more advanced stuff that you did. And yeah, the mouth has this gradient color already. However, we need a darker gradient because the mouth has a darker complexion there. So we're going to go to the gradient tool, switch it to a linear gradient. You know what I'll do? I'll just sample the eyebrow to start with. Sometimes you can start from any point you want. I can sample the eye, I can sample the eyebrow, right? I think the eyebrow is good because then I go here and just reposition the gradient that way, you see? You can totally work with what you already have. It's easier than remaking it from scratch, right? So if I go here now, you can see how, I think it's the other way around. So it's maybe that way instead, right? There. I just dragged it from the bottom up instead of the top down. Okay, very good. So then we have the actual, we have another accent there. See, there's an accent here and an accent there. Okay, no problem. So that means we have to go to just to quickly show you how to make the accents. You can do this. You can option drag, make a copy, like copy and paste. And I'm going to use this, the eyedropper tool, make it look like the sun in the background. I'm just going to put this in the back like this, right? And maybe I'll switch the gradient to linear. Just do one of these, right? Maybe the other way, actually. I'll go this way. Just so it has a different reflection. The reason why I'm doing this is the trick of creating the accents. You can see how it's dark here, light here, dark here, light here. You see that? I'm preparing it. Now watch what I'll do. I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to bring this to the front. Bring this to the front, arrange, bring to front, right? And then bring this to the back again, basically, put it right there. Basically, I line them up right behind each other. You can also paste. The thing is, if I paste in the back, it'll go behind the sun. So I'm very careful to do the other method, but bring it to the front instead of sending it to the back. Because if you send it to the back, it's going to go to the back of everything. Then you have to unlock this, bring this to the front, send that to the back. It becomes a maze. So it's harder to control. I'd rather just select something. If it's one order of orientation, just bring that to the front, bring that to the front, instead of sending it to the back. Just because the way it's set up. Sometimes it's easier if you have two things. Here I have more than two things. I have probably 20 things. So I'm very careful on how I approach this. So again, this is in the front now, because what I'm going to do is use this white arrow tool now and just move this one down like this to create the accent. Again, click on the line and just move it any way you see fit. Click on this line and move it you see fit. Let's try again. There we go. There we go. Right? So it looks like more like three-dimensional now. You can make it more. Just do. There we go, right? So it looks more like dimensional when it comes to the placement. All right. And you know, it helps to lock these things sometimes. So if you're done with the mouth, and there's going to be a lot of complexity that's going to come up. When you're finished with this, you can just lock them. You can just select the mouth, for example, and just press Command 2. So you can't select it now. You can easily select objects in the mouth, just like we selected objects in the face, like the eyes and the nose. It's easier. That's why you want to lock stuff. Lock, unlock. So it's easier to connect. We can see this is coming along nicely here, right? Compared to what we got going. So we're going to now do the details of the teeth and stuff, right? So another part where you can just use the pen tool, click and drag the mouse, click and drag again, click and click and click and click and drag, right? Click again and go all the way across. Basically, I just recreated this little piece here. And I'll press D for default, which will give me the white and the black outline. I'll just select the outline to none. I'll click back on the fill. And even this has, it's not just white, it has like a gradient, like an orangey kind of white. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a gradient right now, just by using the, maybe I'll use the eyebrows again, right? I'm just going to swipe this down like this and change this color here to this, where's the mouth? Right? And this one here to the darker one. But even this, look, you can control the blend. See, I can control it whichever way I see it. Now watch something else. You ready for this one? Option drag. You can copy the color too. If you option drag on the color here, you can copy it. And to delete the color, drag it away. So not only can you control the color this way, you can also control the gradient that way. So you have, because before this feature came out, the only way to control gradients in Illustrator was using this, because that did not exist. Now you see it in Photoshop. I see it in Photoshop now has it. Illustrator had it for like 5 years now, maybe more. But this was the way we would control gradients, that palette right there. Now you can control it here or there. So it's a nice, I guess, extension of the tool. You can see how it's becoming a little more three-dimensional, just that slight gradient, right? Because if it wasn't for the gradient, look, it'll look too artificial, see? Just by too flat, exactly. But simply me adding that gradient, it makes it look like it's got more depth and stuff. Like that. All right. So moving along here, we have now the tongue. The tongue is important because it's a good review this exercise too. It's not just teaching you how to control gradients and objects and stuff and planning and illustration, but also how to basically work with cutting shapes, drawing shapes, using the Pathfinder again. Let's go ahead and do this part here. So we have the two circles, they're like semicircles. So I'm going to use the selection tool here, right? You can just make it look like the circle. All right. Already has a gradient. All right, that's fine. This gradient here, if I double click, I'll use this pink color here, gingiva color. It's not working. I gotta double click, I guess. Huh, okay. Let me, oh yeah. All right. The gradient palette, the way it works is you can't double click and use this apparently. Believe it or not, it doesn't do that. Again, you can email the developers. The only way it works is if you hold Option and click. Well, even that doesn't override it. So rather than, if you want to sample your colors, just put this away for now. Go to the gradient annotator tool, right? Reswipe it. Do it this way. Double click. Use that for the pink. Double click on this one. Get the dark pink, right? So just use the, I guess they want you to use the annotator instead of the palette. To change this is a little trickier. You have to option drag and pick a color from the artboard. You can't just double click and pick a color from here. Honestly, they should have made that work, but it doesn't. Yeah, for the which one? For the web? The web drag it. I click on it, doesn't come on the art. You're talking about the color? No. Oh, the web icons, yeah. So you have to drag it. When I click on it, it doesn't come. Drag it from where? The artboard or from the web icon? Oh, from the actual library. Yeah, yeah. No, you have to drag it. Yeah, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, yeah. I know. Because those are external library symbols. So those you have to literally click and drag. A lot of dragging and clicking and stuff, right? It's just how these programs work. So let me see if this is correct. Yeah, something like that. Maybe I'll put the highlights over here. I'll just drag it from here to there, like that, right? There's two of these, so I'm gonna hold Option, drag, there's two, right? This one's in front, or which one's in front? The one in the bottom is in the front. So this one's in the front of that one. I'm gonna right click, arrange, bring to front, right? And I'm gonna cut them up right over here. So they're just, they're covered with this area. So to do that very simply, you can, there's several ways of doing it. I like to do it old school way, I'll just use the pen tool. Just might as well learn it's like being a chef, right? You just use all your tools properly. So watch, I'm just gonna go click here, right? Just maybe do Command Y. Just use this pen tool. Just simply do this. Basically, I'm just retracing this path here. And I'm gonna go here, click, and click. So I just drew like a shape over there. You see, I just drew a shape, a random shape. But I was very careful in tracing this area on the path. Did I even do a good job? I think I traced the wrong one. I think so. Let me see here. Right, and then say, okay, let me do it again. You can even copy and paste this one if you want. You can copy and paste that shape and use it, whichever way you see fit. Let me see if I can object, unlock all, right? I can use this shape and use it as my, oh, it's grouped again. There we go. I can use this shape and use it as my cutting out base, but I can't use the same one because it's gonna take out that one, get it? So the trick is to copy and paste. So copy, and you can go, watch the shortcut, ready? This is a new one. What's copy? Command C, right? What's paste? Command V. Look what happens when you paste. It just pastes it anywhere, right? But if you do Command F, it pastes it in the front. So Command F, paste it right in the front of the original position, which means if you move it now, the backup is still there. You see? This is a very important one because now you have control in terms of pasting it in the right place or in the front. Oh, and Command B is pasting back. But that's not gonna work. I hardly use Command B. 90% of the time it's Command F in the front because you can control it, you can see it. If it's in the back, you can't see it after. So if you paste it in the front. I know, but if you're in copy mode, Command F right away is prompting the second thing. But if you have nothing going, and you press Command F, that'll be for find. Or just spacebar command on the Mac gives you the find too, right? But now that it's in the front, I'm going to go ahead and use the Pathfinder tool, right? First, you can select the tongue and bring those in the front too. So basically, arrange, bring to front, right? So I got this and these two. So 1, 2, 3, right? Actually, no, let me show you something I haven't shown you yet because it's important to show you now. So let me put this back. Let me bring this back to the front again. Sorry to go back and forth here. So let me just keep it the way it was, all right? So this is in the front, and these are in the back, right? Right? You can do this with anything, with images, with objects, multiple things. I'm going to select that big object here, and shift, I'm going to select the two little tongue circles, right? So all three are selected. I'm going to right click within the selected area. And I'm going to call what's called a clipping mask. Clipping masks are very popular, and they existed in Illustrator since I remember using it for the first time. Because what it does, it clips the outside. It's like, you know what a mask does, right? You put a mask, you cover an area. So basically it covered that area. So basically now what you have is, whoops, is this. This became the mask. Now look what happens if I go here and I right click and I release the mask. So the mask released, then you can see everything back again. So you can release the mask if you want later, but the trick is you make the mask, you do the mask, right? So I'm going to press Command Z again. So clipping masks are really cool. Let me show you one more thing with clipping masks because you might be doing something for fun. Let me just draw a star, okay, a star here, right? A star. I'm going to go File, Place. See, I didn't show you this because we're not using anything else with Illustrator except you know, drawings and stuff. But if we were to do like an ad, like I'll show you what I did just the other day for one of my clients. We're doing a special for Black Friday because we're doing like a convention and we're doing a show and stuff. So if I'm going to open up here, what's it called? The National Show 2023. So look at the stuff I do in Illustrator. Look at this. I should use InDesign, but this is the kind of stuff we put out. Look at this stuff. It's a flyer. It's a double page flyer, okay, for October. This is coming up. It's in, they're doing the show in, I think it's in New Brunswick or something like that. Okay. So there, like this is the stuff. So for this, you can use clipping masks because they help you clip images, right? So if I was to go here and do something similar, I'm just going to go File, Place, go File, Place. When you place images in Illustrator, you go File, Place. And I'm going to place this, maybe this image here. Well, no, it's not an image here. Let's go get another image. Here's an image right here. This is some kind of price list that we're scanning. All right, so here's an image I'm going to place. Like that, right? So we have an image, we have an object. You can have multiple, well, usually works with one better than multiple. So just do one with one. So let's bring the object to the front. So bring to the front, right? Right click, arrange, bring to front. If this is in the front and anything's in the back, here I used objects. Here I'm using an image. Doesn't matter. The masks work the same way. If I click on the star and the image together with shift and I right click and I make a clipping mask, that's exactly what's going to happen. So now this becomes a mask. And yeah, I can give this a nice outline, you know, like a nice gold outline. right? So if you want to do some other designs with Illustrator, you can.
Sorry, if you want to resize the inside image, can you double click on it?
These are good questions you're asking me. What are you asking me right now? Resize the image. But if I do this, look what happens. It resizes the whole thing, right? If I want to resize the content in the mask from the mask itself, then you double click. When you double click, you enter this isolation mode. Then you can go ahead and resize things inside the mask, right? But look at that. You got to pay attention though, because you're inside this thing. How do I know? Look at everything's grayed out. Look, everything's grayed out. When you see something grayed out, you should right away recognize it's not normal. You're inside this isolation mode. So you got to get away from that. You press escape. It's like a tree directory. You know, you get inside a folder, inside a folder, inside a folder. That's what's happening right now. Inside the object, inside the mask, inside the image. Because the image is inside the object is in the artboard, and the artboard is in the document. Right? Inception, like a very great movie. How many dreams? A dream in a dream, or three dreams going on at the same time, right? Great movie, right? So you press escape to wake up from the dream, and there you go, exit. And that's how masks work. Okay. All right, great. I can do the Pathfinder too, yeah? So basically, let's do the Pathfinder. Let me go release the clipping mask, right? And let me now, well, here I have remember the object. So here's the object, and here's the two circles. If I'm using the Pathfinder method, then I would bring the two circles in the front, like that. And so if I'm using a clipping mask, I would put them in the back and clip them from the mask. But if I'm going to use the Pathfinder, my thought process is now thinking, okay, I'm going to divide them up and delete the rest. I'm going to do the other way, bring these in the front, select all three, open up the Pathfinder palette, and you can use, actually you can just use this one. No, never mind. That's minus the front. You can use this one here, divide. Just use divide. You can also use technically, I guess I could have used the other one. Just do divide, it's better. Once you do divide, right? This is actually better in many ways if you look at it from an illustrative perspective, because now you can go ahead and use remember the white with the plus group selection tool? Remember that one? Now I can go in there and say delete, 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 and delete. But what the heck happened here? So I'm going to select, so maybe, let me just right click. Let me ungroup these two, right? So now I have these two separated. So take out the stroke, so there's no outline. I should take out, the stroke made a problem. I should have taken out the stroke. See what it did now, divided the things too, right? So, you know, I mean, I could fix this by, let me see here. So let me just first ungroup it. Now this is separate. This is separate. These are separate. So these two I'm going to merge into one, right? Get it? This becomes one, and this becomes a separate one. So I'm going to select these two, bring them here, and delete this whole mess. I call it a mess because I didn't want that to happen. And then I take these and put them, again, this shouldn't have happened if I took out the stroke. It should have been easier, just as, if not easier than the clipping mask, okay? But you can do whatever you want. Once you have the skill, you can control it the way I'm doing it right now. And now this becomes that. I'm going to hit Command G, and we're good to go. I think we're on point with this whole design with the sun, right? Okay. Next, let's go ahead and look at the, I don't know, the little freckles and stuff. These are the accents. So they all these details make a difference, right? So I'm going to go and just basically come back here, press Command Y, use the elliptical tool, hold Shift, do this. Right? Go to my swatches. Oops. And then simply go and use this make sure there's no stroke. Control the stroke in the fill all the time, because that can really become a problem, right? So I'm going to use the accents here. There's the accents. Accents. I think it's this one, right? But as you can see, these are very muted. So that means there's some kind of an opacity on the overall approach. So to do that effect, watch this now. Go up here, instead of 100%, do 20%. See? So it's like an opacity. It's a transparent object, right?
Can you use the light gradient?
Sorry?
Can you use the light gradient?
The light gradient? Yeah, you can use it too if you want. If you find it works better, sure. Right? So look at this now. You go option drag, right? Resize. Once you perfect one, you don't have to do the work all over again. Just be smart, right? You just option drag. Oh, these are different sizes, eh? So I'm just gonna be very careful here. And then this one becomes this one too. Right? Come on. Oops. There's the accents there. Copy all. Whoops. I should lock this, eh? So right click, lock, or just go object, lock, selection. See, when this is not locked, it's so hard to work with this. So if you're doing like the background approach, lock the background and work with the foreground. You can always unlock it and relock it, unlock it and relock it if you want. So I'm gonna grab these now and option drag them over here. Right? Oh, this is different. So I'm just gonna flip them. I mean, really, I have to probably resize these as well. Just use different combination of things. See, like this. All the details, right? And you can see how this is going to become eventually the real thing once you copy the details. I covered all the important stuff. Let's do one more, and that's the sunburst, right? Now, I'm going to take a different approach on this because you could trace each one. But why don't we just do one and do the, remember the rotation thing? It's not going to look exactly like that, but who's going to know? Except us. Who's going to know, right? Because I won't know if you show me your final drawing. I'll be like, looks good. I don't care how you did it. As long as it looks the way you want it to make it, your intent is supposed to be right. So I'm going to go ahead and trace this right now. Just trace this here, click and drag the mouse like this. But watch how I'm going to carefully just stop right there. Look, he's got a horn on his head, like a punk rocker son. Right. So this, I'm going to match the radial sun. See, like, copy that. I can even do maybe a little bit of this, right? Maybe I'll do a linear gradient if I want. Radial gradients. Either way, it looks whichever way you want it to look like. Now this one can go in the back after we're done. So we do one, right? Command Y. We've done this before, right? Remember the rotate tool. The center is right here. Look at the center of the sun, right? Option click right there. And you do the 30 degree. 30 is a very common number because usually it's 12 or 8. You know, if it's 8, it's what? What's 8? Is 8 going to 36? 360? Is that of 8? 32? 40? Oh. What's the math there? 35, was it? 36. So 36, you put 36 then. But if it's 12, you put 30, right? So let's put 30. Copy copy. Don't worry if it's not aligned properly, that's fine. I'm just gonna press Command D, Command D, Command D, and eventually we'll have all 12. And I'm gonna select all of them with Shift. I mean, you could do it, listen, if you wanna trace it exactly, then you could do all the elements that way, but honestly, with the way this is right now, I'm okay with the way it is, right? I'm just gonna send this to the back. So right click, arrange, and send to back. And that's basically how it's gonna look, right? And now if I go to my layers, I can hide the background, and you can see how easily we can recreate any illustration. And this took us, maybe half an hour. I mean, it really makes a difference if you're gonna, that's your focal point. And then the background could be simple things, doesn't have to be too. Sorry? Oh, for sure. No, no. All right, let's get the smiley corners then. How? Because then it's a fake smile. It's not a real smile, right? We want to get a real smile going here. Okay. The no shadow too. So basically, if you activate the layer here, you can see there's a little bit of that. What's the other? What do we? The shadow too. Let's do the no shadow because that's an important one. I really want to emphasize that as well because it's something, again, I can teach you something new. So the no shadow, what it is just a shape that's feathered. Feathered means the edges are smoothened out in a way they dissipate in the background. So watch this. I'm going to use I'm going to use just use a shape like this, just a circle, and I'm going to rotate it that way. I'm just going to rotate it that way. Look, see? Just a shape. This could be like the shadow, basically. Could be small. I can draw it if I want with the pen tool. Like, you can do any way you want. Let's just do this for now, right? The gradient is going to be like this. Maybe like this, the gradients. Let's just double check here. Right, so it's dark to light, okay. Right? And the nose should be in the front. So I'm going to right click, arrange, bring the nose in the front. So this is in the back. Now you could technically go here and reduce the opacity, right? But it still kind of looks too sharp as a shadow. So the trick here, for what I see or interpret, because sometimes it's very, you can kind of argue with different, like, well, did it do this? Did it do that? It's hard to always predict what they did, but you can come close to the conclusion of the very approximate approach. So you can copy this here, and watch this now. Effect, stylize. Again, this is the Illustrator effects. And yes, there's Photoshop effects here too. But Photoshop effects mostly work on images, as opposed to objects. So if you go to objects, you stick with the Illustrator effects at the very top. This is under the effects menu. So I have the nose shadow. My intent is to make this a feathered. So I'm going to go to stylize. Watch this one here. Ready? Feather. Light as a feather. And the amount would be 0.1, let's try 5. You got to hit preview on and off, because if you don't, it might not work. Maybe try 0.175. Now, do you have pixels or inches? What do you have? If you have pixels, you have to maybe type 5 pixels or something like that, right? Okay, so we're going to go more. The more you put, the less it's going to look. So 0.0, let's try 134. Nothing. Yeah, so it's got to be decimal 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. See? And then you press OK. And then that's how you do the shadow effect. See? And then you can see this is a little more angled. Sorry? You can definitely bring up the opacity a little more, yeah. Like it's 100 now, I can go lower it down to like maybe like 70, right? So I can do that a bit. So I can really control the way the accent is situated on that. I can even give it a solid color. So I can, maybe it doesn't have to be a gradient, but so this you can take a different approach. So I'm gonna go to swatches and just use a solid color, right? I can use a solid color, right? And reduce the opacity even further, see? See that, right? So different things you can do on this one to make it look like a shadow effect, okay? Maybe now that I'm looking at it, I'm gonna go to 15, okay? How about that? There we go. There we go, okay. Now the little markings on the sides, the accents, this is just like a little cutout of a shape. So if I press Command Y, all I have to do is just draw like a half a moon shape. Want to use the pen tool? Let's use the pen tool. So pen tool again, always start at the corner. So click, halfway, click and drag, halfway again, click and drag, click, go halfway again, like that, and then follow it up where it came from. Basically, I just drew this. And if it doesn't look perfect, so be it. Right? No one's going to notice. It's a little accent, right? If you want to fix it, you can use the white direction selection tool, and you could actually go ahead and fix it and stuff and make it like a perfect kind of moon shape if you want it to be like that, right? You have so much control with these tools, of course, right? You can go there and fix it and stuff, right? What color is it again? It's got the accent colors and it's got the yellow color as well. So maybe it's got two colors in there. So this is going to be the accent color. It's going to be the brighter one. So this is the brighter one here, right? The brighter one, and it's got the darker one underneath it. So basically, you have a copy of this and another copy underneath. So I can just do, Option drag, make this the darker one, and send this to the very back, basically, right? I can just bring this one, bring it to the front, and send this one to the back. But to align it perfectly, sometimes you got to orchestrate the point. So watch this. I'm going to use the white arrow tool. I'll grab this corner. I can do this if I want, see? And I can grab the other corner and just move it over here. So I can really control the way the arcs are united, you see? So you can edit the shape based on the way it's overlapping, right? So maybe this can look better like that now, right? And if I want to copy this on the other side, right, then just simply go here, grab these two, watch here, Option drag, the other side, rotate, right? Command Y, go right in position here, rotate again. Oh, let me teach you how to rotate from a reference point. This is also, I want to cram in as much information as possible with this exercise here. So basically, let me group this first, Command G, right? How do I rotate this from this reference point? Because I want to rotate it, I don't want to rotate it like that, right? I want to rotate it from that point. It's like an apple swinging from a tree, as we used to reference it, like. So I'm going to use the rotate tool. Watch carefully here. The rotate tool, remember so far we rotate, option click, or we click. This time I'll click here what the corner is. When I rotate tool, I have the object selected, and I click there as a reference point, and I grab the bottom, it's swinging from the reference point, you see? Very nice. That's how you can control that. And then of course I'll just extend the thickness a bit based on my sizing on that element there, and just move it like this. Right? The more you invest time on detail and little things like this, the more clear the illustration will be. So how do I make this into a splash banner now? Let's say I want to make a splash banner. Let's say this is something I want to use for my, by the way, you're not allowed to use this for your splash banner. Make your own drawing, right? Because I've seen, there's only, I know there was only, there was always a student that submits this as a splash banner. Like, what are you doing? They miss a lot of classes and stuff. So I gave them an extension. I said, I will do something better than that. So don't use this for your splash. Maybe make your own sun if you want to do it, okay? So if I want to convert this to a splash banner, I'm going to go to File, New Document right now. And I'm going to make it a splash banner by making it 700 pixels. So I'm in the web. Let's go to the web option here because that's a good way to start from scratch. I'm going to make the width 700 pixels. And I'm going to make the height 500 pixels. Keep in mind, size is irrelevant because it's an illustration. You can blow this up 700 feet by 700 feet. You can make it bigger than the Burj Khalifa, okay, or the CN Tower, right? You can make it really big. So 700, 500 pixels, create. This is the document right here. This becomes our splash banner. Then let's go ahead and copy this whole illustration. Copy here, paste. Oh, I missed, guess what happened there? That was locked. So I gotta make sure I unlock all, and then select the whole thing, group, copy. I should hit save just in case. And then paste. And this is my main focal point. This is like my main, character for my illustration. Just like they do on these banners that have the lady, or they have the fish, or they have the boat, whatever. This stem have the sun. And now I'm going to have the Illustrator surroundings with it, which I'm going to do next. So right away, I'm going to save this as an Illustrator splash banner right now. So this will be my final, this is the final project for this module for you guys. So let's call it Illustrator splash banner exercise on the desktop. I'm going to save it as an Illustrator file, hit save. 2020, that's the version you want to stick to, hit OK. All right, very good. And let's explore different accents. Let's look at other Illustrator splash banners and get some ideas on how this will work. Illustrator splash screen, right? I like to see what other artists have done in the past. So we can either put it on the side, we can put it on the bottom, we can put it, look at the old school Illustrator. We can introduce a new design. We can do left and right, right? But if we stick to the basics here, we can definitely get the side, like something like this is kind of nice actually. So if I want to reference this as like a design, I can just look at it. And now that I know what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and get the Adobe Illustrator. Please don't recreate the logo for Illustrator. You can get online. Like you already have enough. You're already busy doing a whole thing. I don't want you to waste time drawing the Adobe Creative Cloud logo. You can just get online, right? Those are things you can get as resources. So let's say Adobe Illustrator, right, logo, right? Illustrator logo, right? And you can get one online for sure. If you want to do SVG, you might get the SVG file, right? Honestly, even if it's not SVG, you want to put it in there, you can, okay? So right click, okay? Save image as. Well, you just do this, watch. Right click, copy image, go to Illustrator, paste it. And yes, look at this. You can do, well, yeah, it's a PNG file, so that's fine. You can use a PNG file. I also want a picture of the Creative Cloud logo. So CC, logo. Well, of course, I'll get Chanel and stuff, right? Adobe CC logo. So maybe I will get one of these ones here. I like the black and white one because this I can modify the colors. Let me teach you how to recreate a logo in vector from a PNG, because sometimes you can't do that too. This is a better one, I think. So right click, copy image, paste. But I don't want this red color. I'm gonna maybe match it with my color scheme that I have. So what do I do with this or this? Because these are not vector files. Look how I can tell. I press Control Y. See? I told you these glasses are real. The X-ray vision glasses. I can see everything. See? You can see it. It doesn't work. So what you want to do, you can convert something to vector, but you have to be very careful. It doesn't work every time. The quality is important. In this case, the quality here is immaculate because I got a high-res PNG off the internet. So I can select this file now, right? And go over here with this image trace. Now watch this. Silhouettes. Or sometimes 3 colors work. Be very careful here. You don't want to just click anywhere. So click on the drop-down menu and you type silhouette. Look at that. Look at this. It's a silhouette. This can be any color that I want right now. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. Once you make it a silhouette, you have to go up here and expand. So remember, silhouette, the logo, one color, expand. When you expand it, the world is your oyster, as they say. Look at this. Any color you want. Okay? So this is a nice little technique.
And what's that embed option?
Which one?
Embed.
Embed?
Yeah, embed on the top. What we use, and what we use that, it was.
Expand, you mean? Not embed, expand. Oh, you have embed because you dragged it. I can see what you did. So let me elaborate more. Was it Z? Z, right? Z? What Z was saying, if I was to, this is important, right? If you're gonna right click and save this to the desktop, right? Right? And then you're gonna go ahead and watch this, and you're gonna go ahead and drag it here, right? Now this becomes, remember, this is trouble territory right here. Because if this file goes missing from the desktop, it's gonna be missing from my artwork. Very dangerous. Okay? So what you wanna do is you wanna hit, remember up here, embed. Embed means make it part of my document, please. Like a web page without the sources, what's gonna happen? The CSS won't work, the sources won't work. You need the sources to be part of your tree directory to support the HTML and the CSS, let's say. Same thing here. But if you embed it, you don't have to. It becomes like an inline style, like it's done. It's part of the document. So now this is, now you can do the same thing I did with this. Go image trace, silhouette or 3 colors, do silhouette if it's 1 color. Because this now, if you expand it, you can use any color you want, right? Now, let me just use the yellow for now. Ready for this? What am I gonna do for this one? For this one, to image trace, you don't have to use silhouette. For this one, you're gonna use 3 color. 3 color works well, even if it's 2 color, 3 color will cover the 2 colors. 3 color will give you the 3 color breakdown. That's gonna do a little bit of cluster, initial pixel clustering. Wow, some serious operation here. Once it's done though, this is now, look at this. Well, I have to still do expand. Remember, expand, even if you use symbols off the Illustrator or clip art library, when you expand them, then they become objects. It's like a zip file, extracting the zip file, expands it, right? So if I hit expand, again, it's gonna process. I guess this thing really did a number because of all the, it traced all the letters and stuff. Like you put a Coca-Cola logo in here, you trace it, it becomes a vector file. But it won't be perfect. It's never gonna be 100% because it's still gonna have a little deficiency to the eye. But if you really do a big file and you make it smaller, you can really make it 99.999%, which is nobody can notice, right? So for this one, for example, look at this. It's a vector file, ladies and gentlemen. A vector file, okay? So if you want to do that, just to decorate your stuff, please go ahead. These are supporting elements for my Illustrator splash banner that I'm going to put together here. So I'm going to use the Illustrator logo. I'm going to put Illustrator CC, Creative Cloud. I'm going to put some content here. Put your name as the author. You're the artist. I'm going to give yourself compliments. Put the logo down here. Okay, I think I got a game plan going here. So put this up here. I'm going to use the type tool, everybody. So look at this. There's the text tool here. So the text tool, you click and you type Adobe Creative Cloud. You know, for reference, I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Because there's nothing wrong with me using a reference file to see what's going to look like. So this will be like my orange color that I want to use. Maybe I'll put Illustrator CC somewhere. So again, do me a favor. Don't draw a text box. Only time you draw a text box is when you put content, like I'm going to do later. If I'm doing a title, like Illustrator CC, I'm just going to go ahead and click once. And then type Adobe Illustrator, right? Oh, sorry, just Illustrator CC. So Illustrator CC. And that's going to be nice and big, maybe even bigger than that. I'm even going to bold the typeface from up here, bold. I can do lots of different accents if I want, right? I can use the same color. This logo can be down here, subdued a bit here, just like a little bit like that. Creative Cloud. Initializing doesn't have to be there, but you could put all this other stuff. 1987 is the first time Illustrator got, released. Version 1, 1987. Were you guys born in 1987, some of you? 87, right? So, yeah, that's how old Illustrator is. 1987. Computers were just coming out. A lot of people didn't have computers back then. I think I had a Commodore 64. In my friend's house, we used to go there and type stuff on the keyboard. It was really cool. Yeah, Illustrator and Photoshop came about at the same time. Adobe, yeah. PostScript came out, PostScript printers. You can print from the computer to the printer. That was a big thing. And Adobe owned the license for PostScript, right? And then Adobe also came part of the PostScript family, and a lot of the graphic designer revolutionized to this language. Until today, it's the same. It's just a little more complex with computing, right? But the stuff's not much different. Okay, so now we have a little bit of text here. So we're going to go ahead and look. You can even go about Illustrator. Can I copy that? You know what I was trying to do here, right? See, you guys don't have a Mac, do you? Some of you don't have a Mac. Watch this. If you do a nice screen capture, right? Whoops. And you can go to the preview. And if you wait like a little bit of time here, you could copy your stuff only from a preview. You can't copy it otherwise. Or you just retype it. It's not a big deal. Okay. Content is content. Here I'm just gonna draw a little box. Command V. Command A. I'm gonna make it really, really, I don't know, maybe like 9 points. I don't need it bold either, right? So it'll be regular. Oh. Maybe I pro regular, right? And of course, you have to maybe, like you make this look the way you want it to be. Like, I'm just copying and pasting, but you can honestly make this your own authentic software, write your name, you know, have some fun with it. And you can put your name here, right? Art by, and then these people win like Behance awards. On Behance, a lot of them get picked. They use it as a portfolio. They have prizes. They give you some money, some cash, whatever. It's a good thing, right? You never know. They always do these competitions. So if you see an opportunity, go ahead. Here's the thing about text boxes. Watch this. Expand, contract. You see that? That's why you want to go and draw a text box as opposed to click and type. Because if you do that to this, look what happens. You see the difference between a text box and a text field. Text boxes are great when it comes to controlling your flow of your text. It's like a responsive window, basically, right? It's good to kind of do the break and the, there we go, right? All right, so now what? Well, now let me just quickly make this look more kind of part of the banner here. So I'm gonna go and draw this rectangle object. All right, we're gonna go right here and draw right through, and this will be this dark brown color that I'm gonna send to the back. And this here will be, right? Or maybe I'll stick with the orange, yellow, or something like that. Maybe just to keep it consistent. Right? But now look at this, Command R, rulers. I don't think I showed you rulers before, but here I'm gonna use my guides and layouts to keep my alignment very consistent. So I'm gonna go and drag, look at this, a ruler right here, like that. So now I'm gonna make everything, look at this, everything, I mean everything, shift, select everything, and align everything to the left of that guide, right? Or I can just move it wherever I want to, right? So I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Make this Creative Cloud logo down. Right. Now if this can be the main focal point, that's fine. But the background needs some work, right? So this is when you have to create some backgrounds and stuff. In this case, what I'm gonna do is simply, let me just quickly save this, right? Delete that. Look at my layers, right? Open your layers. Layer 1, right? So I'm gonna make a new layer right now, just for the background. I should have honestly made 3 layers. One for my main illustration, one for my side banner stuff, and one for my background. So how do I split this up into 3 layers right now? So look what I'll do. I'm gonna use the selection tool. I'm gonna select all my stuff on the left, you know, all this writing and logos and all that stuff I image traced, right? I'm gonna hit Command X, cut. Basically, take it out, put it in memory, RAM, random access memory, right? Make a new layer, layer 2. I'm just gonna call this banner info. And then I'll press Command F, paste in front, or paste in place. So this now resides in a separate layer. And this illustration resides in a separate layer. I'll call this illustration. Right? And depending on the order, like this could be, look, now it's in the back. I could definitely drag this to the top of the order and put in the front. An overlap sometimes is not a bad idea if it fits the design, gives it that dimension, right? Maybe I should do, if I want to do that, then I'll just make this a little further out. There you go. Maybe you want to do one of these, right? Sure, right? Who's got rules here? You can bend the rules a bit, right? Be creative. Okay, so now what? Now I want to bring in a background. So I'm going to create a new layer and call this BG for backgrounds. Okay, BG, background. And I'm going to lock the other layers on purpose. Look, you don't have to go object lock. You can lock the layer. That's like ultimate lock. Everything, now I can't select anything but the background layer. And when I'm done, I'll send the background layer to the back of the order. Right now it's at the front, it's at the very top, like a stacking order, right? Yeah. Yeah. I just want to work with it first though. After I'm done, then I'll slip it to the back. I purposely want it to front, purposely. It's the same order as Photoshop, to answer your question. Same thing. All the software, even if you do video editing software, animation software, Photoshop, Illustrator, the layer order is the same. This is at the bottom, this is at the top. Just makes sense, right? No software developer is gonna change that rule. It's ingrained since the beginning. The layer order, like putting something on your desk, on top, on top, on top, on top, right? So right now I purposely put that at the top so I can see it. Then I'll put it in the back. Okay, so what are we doing for the background? Well, let's see. Maybe we want to do some kind of rays or background. I'm just going to hide the sun for a second. And maybe I'm going to do, here, watch this. I'll do a simple, just teach you how to do a landscape design from on top of your head. You don't have to look at any illustration. So here's a rectangle, right? And I'm going to make this rectangle look like water, okay? Or maybe trees or grass or a landscape or something. So I'm going to go use my color palettes right now. Maybe I'll use a gradient, okay? And I'll swipe the gradient this way from bottom to top or top to bottom. I'm going to double click on this white and I'll make it a very bright green color. I'm going to click on this black. I'm going to make it like a darker green color, right? So right away, I created like some kind of a landscape in the back. I'm going to send this to the back after I'm done. Now I'm going to copy this, option drag. Here's another one. This one I'm going to make it look like a sky, like a landscape background. So I'm going to double click on this one. This one will be white. Oh, again, I got to do it this way. Remember, the annotator is very picky. So I'm going to use the colors from the palette. And of course, this will be like a very light blue background color, right? So maybe this can be like some kind of a background that I'm going to use for my son, right? Now I'm going to put some clouds in there. Very easy clouds, right? I'm going to use the shapes, the elliptical shapes. Here's a one. I'm going to make this one like a white solid color. And I'm going to make them fluffy, like fluffy clouds. So therefore, well, let me first do this. Let me do the formation of the clouds. I'm just going to skew them this way. Very, very kind of free form and stuff, right? So I'm going to select all three, Pathfinder. Okay, unite. So there's the cloud formation. And I can stretch them and make them look any way I want. Look, you can make Super Mario Brothers game, whatever, any kind of level you want, stage. So we're going to go to Effect, Stylize, Feather. Remember, Feather does the edges. So you can really feather them. Oh, it's in pixels now. So look, I can feather 15 pixels. So it looks like it's feathered. Looks like it's very smooth right now. And yes, I'll make another cloud formation. Maybe I'll flip this one the other way. I can make some mountains right now if I want, right? Some more landscape, some trees and stuff, mountains. If I want to do that, I'm simply going to go over here. I'll use the, hey, you know what? There's a polygon. You know what polygon tool does? It draws polygons. Did you know that if you click once, you can make it 3 sides and you can make triangles? Yeah, so now I'm going to make triangles all day, right? So we're going to go over here, move the triangles maybe down this way, and maybe option drag a few this way, that way, maybe a few more, squish them down a bit here, maybe another one, make lots of interesting little things, right? So now there's like all these mountains. Now look, for some reason they're not aligned perfectly. Look, everything's all over the place. So how do I align these perfectly? So I'm going to select my triangles, go up here, align the base. Oops, not the background. You can align the base. You can move the whole thing up like this together. You can even use the Pathfinder Unite. option, or keep them all separate. Sometimes it looks better if they're separate. Uh-huh. Oh, just align bottom. Oh, yes, because I selected the background by accident. So I deselected the background, yeah. I deselected the background. Whoops, I think I double clicked here. Escape. There we go. Okay, so let me double click here for a second. I'm gonna use a darker color. Maybe I'll use the Pathfinder Unite. Pathfinder Unite, and I'm gonna use the gradient color this way. Anyhow, you get the idea, right? So I'm gonna make my own background, and I can make this look like anything I want. Perhaps maybe this one should be, let me just make this color. Brown. Okay, so it's more like a landscape background. Right. Back. Sometimes you have to line it up perfectly, that's fine. Anyhow, now I'm ready to bring the layer back, and before you know it, I have my BG layer is gonna go right to the bottom of everything, and this could be now like my background for my main illustration. And of course, I can tweak it and change it any way I want, but this one doesn't look so plain now. I can definitely make it look like an actual background, right? And I just need more maybe detailed designs and things I want to add, but you get the idea, right? This is how you approach anything, and you can make any illustration that you like, right from scratch, right? Yes. So not if they're united. You got to keep them separate. So don't unite them, I would keep them separate, right? Keep them separate is probably the better option for that, okay? Sorry? You can. I want to show you the mesh tool next week. I still have one more lesson to throw everything at you. Today I wanted to focus on the approach, so you know how to use gradients, colors, fills, feather, object orientation, tracing. I can show you I have a mesh tool exercise for you next week, and that'll complete pretty much all the advanced stuff in 7 weeks that we had to do this stuff. You know, it's I know I wish we had another 7 weeks of Illustrator, but I gave you all the important stuff anyways, right? Because in the graphic design program for the first 5 weeks, pen tool, it's so repetitive. You waste 5 weeks tracing stuff. You can do that on your own. I don't have to sit here and watch you trace, right? So I really made this really clever, this course. I give you all the stuff you need to learn, and it's feasible because you can see from the past, all my students do good in this class, as long as they do their work. There's no problem. Just do your work and you're good, right? All right, let's grab a break now. I'm gonna really yell at the IT people. I've had enough with them. So if you don't see me back, I'll see you guys next week then. I'm kidding. I'll keep my cool. Don't worry. I'm gonna go talk to them though in a nice way. Jerome, you come with me, okay? We'll scare them together. There's some big guys are here coming up to me. We'll just give them a serious look. Get a few guys to come with me, okay? Some bodyguards. Huh? Yeah, let's go. That's right. We'll just stand there and stare at them all day. Like they're just standing there. They're just sitting there, joking around. Ha, ha, ha. Like, I need help. Okay, so let's go break. Any questions before I let you guys go? I'll be back, don't worry. I'm just gonna get IT and stuff. I'll do one more little thing over there. Huh? No, because the typeface is not, typeface is only created originally. Typeface is something, once it's outlined, it's done.
So that's a vector of.
That's right, it's a vector outline. Correct. You can, type is only done from the initial creation
Do you know what
using.
typeface is this? AI?
I can guess, but probably like, it looks like a myriad condensed. I could be wrong though, but it looks like a condensed font of a medium. But you can look at it, you can look, Google it if you want. They'll probably tell you. There's probably a few variations of those fonts, right? All right. But I mean, you know, from, like I said, if you still have another, how much time do you have for this project? Another week and a half or something? Look how fast we did this today, right? And I'm not saying you don't have to spend an hour, but honestly, you give it a good 4 hours, 3 hours of work, you can do a nice job with this design, I'm sure. All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording right now. This is recorded, and then you guys can watch the video later. And we'll grab a break. When we come back, I'll answer some questions and maybe give you time to work on this, okay? All right. All righty.